everyone, this is Attorney Liang. Our office is located in the San Francisco Bay Area, but we provide immigration services to clients nationwide. In today's video, I'll explain the application processes for the U.S. marriage-based green card. There are two scenarios: when the applicant spouse is a U.S. citizen and when the applicant spouse is a permanent resident. These two processes are quite different. Today, we'll discuss the process and timeline on the green card application for the spouses of U.S. citizens. The eligibility requirement is a genuine and legal marriage to a U.S. citizen. Additionally, the U.S. citizen spouse must have sufficient income to provide financial support to ensure that the applicant will not become a public charge. If the applicant spouse's income is insufficient, then others can also co-sponsor the application. There are many advantages of obtaining a green card through a marriage-based application. For example, the waiting time to apply for citizenship is quite short. Generally speaking, you need to wait for 5 years after you receive your green card to apply for citizenship. However, for marriage-based green cards, it only takes 3 years. Another advantage is that there is no annual quota for the amount of green cards USCIS can issue for this type of application. So unlike many other types of immigration, marriage-based green cards do not have very long waiting periods. Another unique advantage is that USCIS is willing to grant special waivers to facilitate family reunification for U.S. citizens. For example, if the applicant has illegal entry, history of overstaying, criminal records, or previous false statements in immigration matters, the issues may be waived by USCIS, giving the applicants a chance to obtain a green card. Like many other types of immigration, you can also help your unmarried children under the age of 21 to apply for a green card. You can also apply for work permits and travel documents. The first step in applying for a marriage-based green card is for the U.S. citizen spouse to submit Form I-130, Petition for Alien Relative, to USCIS. If you're applying within the United States, you can simultaneously submit the following forms: I-485, Adjustment of Status; I-864, Affidavit of Support; I-130A, Supplemental Information; I-765, Employment Authorization; I-131, Application for Travel Documents; I-693, Report of Medical Exam. You can get this form from a USCIS-approved civil surgeon, and please remember to keep the envelope sealed. Additionally, you must submit sufficient evidence to prove a bona fide marriage. Usually, after you file your case, you'll receive a receipt notice from USCIS within 2 to 6 weeks. With the receipt number from the receipt notice, you can check your application status on the USCIS website. Next, you'll receive a biometric appointment notice within 2 to 3 months. This letter indicates the date and time you will go to a USCIS field office or an application support center for fingerprint and photographs for a background check. The USCIS citizen spouse is not required to attend. About 3 to 6 months after you submit your case, USCIS may request additional evidence. This does not mean the application has failed, but it can affect the processing time and delay the green card approval. So it is very important to carefully read the instructions and requirements. Meanwhile, you'll receive an employment authorization card and your travel documents. About 8 to 12 months after your submission, you may receive an interview notice. Historically, the interview has been a crucial part of a marriage-based green card application. However, in the recent years, USCIS has been waiving interviews in certain cases to reduce their workloads and speed up the application process. USCIS will decide whether to waive the interview on a case-by-case scenario, considering whether there's sufficient evidence to support a bona fide marriage, the length of the marriage, whether there's enough commingling of the couple's finances, any criminal record or other issues the applicant might have, or whether the immigration officer has questions regarding your documents. If the interview is not required, USCIS will decide on the green card approval, potentially speed up the process by about 6 months. If an interview is required, USCIS typically makes a decision within a month after the interview. You may receive a 2-year conditional green card. To recap, if you're applying within the United States, it takes about 10 to 23 months from the date you file your case to the date you receive your green card, depending on when and where you submit your case, whether there's an RFE, and whether an interview is required. However, if you're applying outside the United States, you first need to obtain a visa to come to the United States. This means that the application must go through the National Visa Center and the U.S. Consulate. Again, the first step is for the U.S. citizen spouse to submit Form I-130, Petition for Alien Relative, to USCIS. Once approved, USCIS will transfer the application to National Visa Center, which will assign a new case number. With this new case number, you can pay the fees and submit Form DS-260 with supporting documents online. Then, the National Visa Center will transfer your case to the U.S. Consulate, which will schedule an interview. You'll bring your medical report and supporting documents to the interview. The U.S. citizen spouse is not required to attend. After a successful interview, you'll receive a visa to come to the United States. Depending on the consulate, the overall waiting period can vary significantly. Generally speaking, from the time the U.S. citizen spouse submits the Form I-130 to the time the foreign spouse receives the visa, it can take about 12 to 16 months. Upon arrival in the United States, the foreign spouse is considered a permanent resident and will receive the green card by mail within 6 months. In July 2024, according to the USCIS fee schedule, the filing fees for the I-130 is $675 and the filing fees for the I-485 is $1,440. Thank you for watching. I hope the information is helpful to you. Please like, subscribe, and share this video, and please feel free to ask me if you have any questions. I'll see you soon in the next video.